Here we are, another episode of Business Card Radio with Margot Levette. I have Keys. I always mess up her name. She told me, call me Keys, so I'm taking it. So my lovely guest, Mrs. Keys, will you
Yes,
pronounce your first name one more time, please?
it's Ketrice.
Ketrice. I don't know
Yes,
why that seemed to be so hard. It's so it just flows right off of your tongue when you say it. What's the big deal, Margot? Why you
I
stumbling?
know.
You know?
I'm used to it, Margot. I don't get offended at all. I've been called Catrice so long. I'm used to it. Catrice, Ketrice, Keys, whatever. I'm good with it.
Well, I'm glad that you're here back again this week because we're going to hear a little bit more about Forged by Fire, Built God Tough.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
I was thinking back about last week's conversation, and it
Mm-hmm.
just made me think. I mean, every day there's something going on in the world where people
Yes,
have to understand that things are going on. And oh my God, if you can't be resilient, if you can't
right.
learn from somebody else, if you can't lean on God, I'm just going to go there. And these women who are authors, you yourself, lean on God to make the
That's right.
comeback, the bounce back, the move up. Um, then what are you going to do? So we're
That's
going to go
right.
ahead and take a deeper look at that. But before we move forward, your
Yes,
sister was supposed to be here. Nika was supposed to be here. But tell
she was.
everybody why Miss Nika is not with us today.
Well, today is Nika's 38th birthday, and some of her friends and church members got together and gave her a surprise party today that she was unaware of, and so it would not have been good for her to dip out on her party guests. So she's partying it up with her guests for her 38th birthday. So I'm just excited that she's even here to celebrate her 38th birthday, Marco, because um little bit of history about Nika with her being in the book. She is forged by fire, built God tough because she was born dead, Margot. She was born dead. When she was they had to resuscitate her at birth
Wow.
because she had some very bad conditions going on with her heart. And so when she ended up being like 3 years old, she ended up having to have massive open heart surgery. So when I tell you, and she died then. So when I tell you that she has a right to celebrate her 38th birthday and going through what she went through with her story and Forged by Fire Bill got tough, look, she has an absolute right to celebrate her birthday with her friends today. So that's why she's not here with us. But it is all well, it is all good, and it is all God.
Well, we are definitely saying
Yes.
happy birthday to you. I was
Yes.
hoping she'd come because I mean, Nika can sing. She can
She can
sing too. She girl can sing. And
yeah,
some of y'all
Margot,
who
she
missed
can
it yes last
sing.
week, oh, she just out of the blue just came on. I thought, oh well, here we go. We got a
Here we
pro
go.
right here. But
She is.
you are the reason why we have access to Forged by Fire, Built God Tough anyway. So let's bring it on back a little bit for those of the folks that are listening or will be listening on replay and they don't know the genesis of this story. This is not your first rodeo, as they say. You are a four-time best-selling author, so you know what it feels like. You know what goes into it. You know the
Yes.
work, the transparency, the peeling back, the revealing of yourself.
Yes. Right.
So what would make you take on such a big project with 21 women? Some have been authors before, many not. And
Right.
what would make you take that on and say, we're doing this and take them to victory?
Yes. Well, what made me take it on, Margot, was the fact that it was ordained by God. And when God is tapping you on your shoulder, and when He's getting your attention to release something in the earth realm that's going to free people, that's going to transform their lives, then you have to go with Him. You have to, I mean, if you want to rest, and if you want to sleep, and if you want to keep moving through life, you better go with what God is telling you to do. So it was the unctioning of God for me to take on this project, and it kind of flows back to when I was in my nursing career, and I used the opportunities in my nursing career to minister to people. And it was a young lady in the clinic setting one day, and she was just, spilling her guts to me, Margot, about how she felt like she just couldn't, take another thing. She felt like she had so much heaviness on her, and if God put one more thing on her, she just was not going to be able to sustain. She was not going to be able to take it. And I remember telling her, yes, you can, because you are built God tough. And so immediately I said, oh, that sounds like something. I need to write that down. And so I did. And I never paid attention to it again. I never even thought about it again until back in November, after being in Finally Free with Dawn Leak, and of course, Drop the Mask, Share the Crown. She said, girl, when are you going to release your anthology? And I was like, not going to do that. I'm just, because I know what goes into it. And I just was not ready I didn't feel I was ready to handle it. And I didn't want to mishandle it. And
Mhm.
so I said, okay, God, if this is you unctioning me to do this, then you've got to give me the name of the book. I didn't want to name it myself. I said, you're going to have to give me specific directives as to what you want me to do. And he said, grab your notebook. And I
Wow.
grabbed my notebook, just started flipping through it, and it landed on Built God Tough. And he was like, that's the name of the book. And the forerunner of the book is Forged by Fire. So he put that together for me. Forged by Fire, Built God Tough. And the crux of the book is that we all go through fiery troubles, trials, and tribulations. And sometimes along the way, Margot, we feel like we're alone in those troubles, trials, and tribulations. We
Yes.
feel like there's no one else that's going through what we're going through. We feel like nobody wants to hear our story. We feel like we feel ostracized sometimes by family and friends because they really can't relate at the time to what we're going through. And that's the crux of the book, is to bring these women together to say, there's somebody in the world that is going through what you're going through or will go through what you are going through. And you need to put on paper your story, be transparent and authentic, and let them know the same God that brought you out of the fire, that
Yes.
sustained you through the fire, that was with you through the fire, can do the same thing for them. He's no respecter of persons. He's the same today, yesterday, and forever. And he's there for you to do the same thing. Some people need to be able to identify with another
Mhm.
being as to know and understand, well, my God, my story is so similar to hers. And sometimes our stories are so far from, one end of the spectrum to the other,
Mhm.
but in the middle, we were all in the furnace. So that's
Yes.
something that we all have in common. We were all in the furnace. And so that's the crux of the book. It's just to let people know that there's still hope. There's still a
Mhm.
light at the end of that tunnel. Just stay in that fire. Because trust me, if God has put you in there, he knows there's something in you that needs to be done away with. He needs to
Yes.
burn some things away. And then he rebuilds us with
Yes.
love, temperance, meekness, long suffering. And once we are rebuilt and built God tough, well, we're ready to go forth and tell the world that, look, he sustained me. He can do the same for you. It's not that I was so tough, but because I'm built God tough now, after coming out of that, there's nothing else that I can't face. And I can help you come
Mhm.
through as well. So that's the crux of the book. It's just it's transformation, Margot. So many of us now in the world we're living in are dealing with things like anxiety and depression and so many of those things. And the enemy would that we felt alone, because once he isolates us and gets us off
Mhm.
in a corner to ourselves and nobody can get in and we can't get out, then he has us right, where he wants us. And that's not the way God set it up. He
Can
didn't
we
put us here
stop
to.
right there? Can we
Yes,
stop there
yes.
for a minute? Because
Hmm.
that what you just said is very real. You read the articles over and over and over again about
Hmm.
mental health. People are suffering because many people, and not just elders, people feel so isolated because of this pandemic. Even
That's
though
right.
we are out and about and we have access to the malls again, to the
Hmm.
theaters and that type of thing, but there's
Right.
still this overarching feeling of doom and gloom on so many people's plate.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm grateful that you have the book so that a person can go to Amazon
Yes,
and
ma'am.
order a copy, because we're better. Some of us are, but
Yes,
we'll
yes.
never know about the ones who aren't. Or what do you think, Keys, about the people that have this face? I'm
Oh,
okay. I'm okay. I'm moving forward. That doesn't bother me. And
mm,
then we hear about them committing suicide
yes,
or
ma'am.
being committed or something, they're killed, somebody's killed
That's right.
them. So many terrible stories, alarming stories have come out. So I
Mm-hmm.
just wanted to get your opinion about that because it seems that for these women to be a part of the anthology, they
Mm-hmm.
had to, you must have vetted them to make sure that they weren't embellishing these stories, that what they put down on paper, this was the truth.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
the truth can set somebody free.
That's right. And you know, I'm so glad you mentioned that because we do, especially as women, we put that face on, we put
Hmm.
that mask on, and we're so accustomed to saying, "I'm fine, I'm okay, I'm a soldier, I'm a
Yeah.
strong, independent woman." But on the inside, we're dying because really we're not. What I've learned is we're not confident enough to say, "I need help.
Oh my goodness.
I need help." We think we're being confident when we walk around with that mask on, with that face on, and we look like we're really built God tough. But
Yeah.
on the inside, we're torn down. And so when you say vetting these women, I listened to these women. I didn't just say, come on in with your story. I listened to them. I had coaching sessions with them, and they were some that even submitted their stories, Margot, and I said, this is not going to jihad. This is
Okay.
not going to work. You're holding back. You're not being as transparent and as authentic as you should be. And so what I need to do before we even release anything else is find out what's holding you back from
Yeah.
being as transparent as you need to be. And oftentimes it's because, well, I'm still kind of afraid of what people are going to say. And my comeback for them is, what about the woman that's going to get this book, and your story in this book is going to break the chains off of her life? What
Yeah.
is more important at this point? Is it what your friend that doesn't know this story is going to say about you? Or is it what this lady that's going to read your story, getting her free at this moment in her life because she can relate to you? What's more important right now? And so
Can I
we
stop
have
you
to,
right there?
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
That is monumental. When
Hmm.
you, oh my God, we have to step outside of ourselves because if we went through these things, we
Yes,
went
ma'am.
through them, but it wasn't just for us. It's never just for us.
That's
And
right.
we have to learn to heal and accept ourselves enough
That's
to
right.
let that come out and be a healing balm for somebody else.
Someone else. That's
Keys,
right.
did you find that once you confronted these women and said, that's not going to cut it, you're not coming straight forward, did you find that they were humble enough to go back, rewrite it, and let all of the incident, all of the hurt, every piece of what they were setting out to write, when they came back, there it was. Did you find that for all of the authors?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely, Margot. And it was so humbling for me because I was in a spot, you know, facing them with their truth. And so
Mhm.
that could have gone another way. They could have said, "Well, you're not, I can't take you confronting me on this level. I mean, I really don't know you like that."
Yeah.
But when I tell you, Holy Spirit was strategic in how I came to them,
Yes.
how I responded to them, and how I just sit back and let them, it settle on them. And then each and every one of them that I had to say that to said, "You
Mhm.
know what, you're right. You know what, you're right." And then I even had one to say, "You know what? I thought I was healed from this, but I think I'm
Mhm.
holding on to it because I'm really not healed from it." And I said, "That's why we are doing this now." I said,
Yes.
when you start writing these things down,
Mhm.
feelings will come up that you thought you had taken care of.
Yes.
So the process is to help you write it down, heal from it, and put it on paper. And so someone else can heal from it at the same time. And the healing process is ongoing. It's ongoing.
Yes.
It doesn't
Yes.
stop because you put it on paper, but you started the process. And I'm
Mhm.
here with you to help you get through the process. Because it doesn't just stop after the book's released. You
I
know what I'm
just,
saying?
I sure do. I know exactly what you're saying because I went through something like that about a year and a half, 2 years ago. But I'm
Hmm.
just wondering, these women, when you are first, and tell everybody, first of all, before I come into my next question, tell everybody we're not talking about a Amazon bestseller. I mean, you all have a litany of first that you all took that very first day within the first hour. Let everybody know how monumental a book this is.
Yes, ma'am. It was very monumental for us, Margot. We released the book June 1st at 10 o'clock a.m. And at 10:05 a.m., we were bestsellers in 3 categories. And I was absolutely floored. I had no idea. My phone rang and it was Dawn. And she said, "How did you come out the gate a bestseller?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" She said, "You are a bestseller in 3 categories already at 10:05." And she said, "How did you do that?" I said, "I didn't. That was God. That was all God, Margot. Because when I tell you, and people, they may get tired of hearing me say it, but when I tell you, I strategically followed everything He told me to do to the letter, to the
Mm.
T. I did it, even as to which categories to list the book in. I knew nothing of the sort. I knew nothing about it, but I strategically listened to His voice, and I did
Yes.
everything the way He told me to do it. And about a week or two before we even released the book, He spoke to me. He said, "I need you to tell the ladies that even if Amazon does not say that you are number one best-selling authors, you all are already number one in my eyes because you were obedient to my voice." And I was like, "You want me to say that to them? Some of these women are first-time authors. They want to be bestsellers. And this is what you want me to say?" Because this is just how me and God talk. We talk like
Uh-huh.
this. And He said, "This is what I want you to tell them." And that's what I told him. I said, "God says that we are already number one in His eyes." And when I tell you that, the women were okay with that. They were like, "God says we're number one already." It was like, so once we settled in our spirit with God that we're already number one in His eyes, He just said, "Well, let me just go on and pour it all out on them because they're okay with that." So He gave us not just those 3 categories. By the end of the day, we were number one international best-selling authors in 10 different categories. 10 different categories. So when I say
Amazing.
those ladies were absolutely, they were crying, they were just overjoyed, and they were transformed by the process. That is what God set out to do. And as long as you are obedient to His voice and do what He tells you to do, you're always going to be number one. And you may not be number one in the eyesight of people or get the accolades from all of the other, but when God says it,
Yeah.
that settles it. That's enough for us. So
That's
yeah,
word
it's
for
been
it
an
should be
absolutely
word for all
amazing.
of us. That should
Yes,
be word for all of us. Absolutely. Entrepreneurs, podcasters, anybody.
yes,
Quick
ma'am.
question. When you all hit it in all of these categories, I mean, it was just given to you like that. I'm sure that you all went to other media outlets and you did interviews and that type of
Yes,
thing.
ma'am.
Did you find that the women were strengthened and their story became firmer and much more real
Yes, ma'am.
once they had a chance to branch off and start talking about their chapters?
Yes, ma'am. It was just, man, when you say strengthen, it was amazing to watch them from the first Zoom call we had, from a couple of interviews we had, and then to watch them even now when they talk about it. It's amazing how you just see it, the transformation, how much more stronger they are, how much more even the way they sit and look
Yeah.
into the camera and tell
Yeah.
their stories now, it's just like, you know what, this is my story. This is what God has given me to help people in the earth realm, to help somebody else. And so they are so much stronger, they are so much more resilient, and so much more. And then look, they're just taking on projects now and doing things that they never thought they would do, from saying yes, just saying yes to God in the beginning, just being obedient
Mhm.
to Him. And He's constantly opening doors for them. And they're not as, kind of shaky about it as they were, in the beginning. It's like, yeah, I can do that. Yes,
Yeah.
I can do that.
Yeah.
And it's just been amazing to watch them. So yes, they've become strengthened, and it has strengthened me as well. Being a visionary author was something that I had never done before. And I didn't, like I said, I didn't want to mishandle God's people. But now
Mhm.
I've got I've gotten strengthened in knowing that when you obey his voice and you listen to his directives, listen to his strategic directives, that you can't err, you can't stumble. He
Yes.
won't let you fall. He won't let you, mess up. So my faith in him, when I
Yes.
say it's gone up 10,000 notches, there's nothing you can tell me about God that's negative, and I listen to it. There's not, because I've experienced him on so many levels, even just with this project, till it's just like, you can't shake my faith. It doesn't matter what the enemy brings my way. I'm still going to have this smile on my face that I didn't have years ago, that I couldn't sit here and talk to you years ago. I wouldn't, because I was so shut off and closed off from the
Mm.
world because of depression and anxiety and panic attacks and things of
Come
that
on
nature.
now.
But I've been delivered. I've been set free, and I'm not stopping. I'm going to continue to help women release their stories, men as well, if they want to join on, release your stories and help somebody else as well as help yourself. So that's what it's all about, Margot. That's
Wow.
that's it. That's what God wants us here for.
Well, I tell you what, I commend you. I really, really commend you for
Thank you.
listening, being obedient. And I too know the power of someone of saying yes. When you
Hmm.
just say yes to an invitation, it's not detrimental or anything like that. Yes to an interview, or yes to write a paper or something like that. And God wants you to do that. There's always something that you don't see involved
Hmm.
in that. And
That's
uh,
right.
I will always be beholden to Mr. Benny Randall from Verkay Bashani Radio for inviting me on to his podcast. I think it was probably a couple of years ago. And I thought it was just going to be about podcasting. I really did. And
Hmm.
I can talk about podcasting all day and all night. I think I
Right.
probably talking, moving my lips about it in my sleep. So I was more than willing to, but he knew my story.
Hmm.
And just like God knows all of our stories, He knew my
Right.
story. And I felt Him leading me. And I felt as we got into the doorway of where I
Hmm.
knew that conversation was going, I felt the liberty to cross the threshold,
That's right.
tell my truth.
That's
And
right.
from time to time, I'll replay that conversation over on LinkedIn. And it always gets just it always just takes
Yeah.
off because
Yeah.
there's something about you sharing your truth, and
Right.
you're not holding anything back. You're not
Hmm.
them. No,
Right.
this is what happened to me. Here I am. I'm just telling my truth because we never know who's listening, who wants
That's
to
right.
take that mask off, who wants to
Mask
take
off.
that cape off. I'm not all that. I'm a woman
Right.
that went through something, and if I fall down, I'm getting back up.
Exactly.
Don't label me, don't brand me, and
That's
please don't
right.
say I'm weak because I spoke up and said
Come
something.
on.
you know
Come
we
on.
have to go ahead and feel, if we're going to our next level, we have to go through these things. And
That's
that's a
exactly right.
podcasting and being an author, all of those
Hmm.
things, they open up so many doors for you. So
That's
again,
right.
I commend you,
Thank
man.
you so much. Thank you so much.
Forged by Fire. And let me see if I had, oh, yeah, here we go. Let's get this
You
up.
got it?
Forged by Fire. No, oh, here you go. Here you go. Yes. Beautiful, beautiful
It is
cover.
beautiful.
I love it. Forged
Dr.
by
Shadaria
Fire.
Allison.
Shadaria Allison. Is a
Allison is the designer. Yes, ma'am.
wow. Now you have something else coming up, I believe. Let's touch. We have a few more minutes. Let's touch on that. You have another project coming up in the next year or something like that?
Well, actually, I am in three different projects right now. I'm in Boss Your Lane with Dawn Leak. I am in Women Who Pray with Carlika Bass Knight Menendez. And
Yes.
I am also in, it just escapes my mind, with Serene Dumas Lee. She knows her worth. So I'm in three different projects right now. And in the very near future, I will be putting out a call for authors for Forged by Fire, Built God Tough, Volume 2. Yes,
Wow.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am. And so you touched on something just a moment ago about saying yes and not saying yes to God and not knowing everything that these yeses will open up. And
Mhm.
of course, like we said in the beginning, my sister was supposed to be on here with us. But had I not said yes to this project, she would not have been on here with us because our relationship was dismantled before this
Mm,
project began. And because I said yes to God, and she happened to see the project because we were not even on speaking terms. I didn't tell her
wow.
about the project. She just happened to see the project. And so because of my yes, she joined the project and our relationship has been restored. So when I say when God tells you to do something, just be obedient. Just be
Yes.
obedient because restoration was a part of this project as well.
Wow. And one heck of a lady. I had a chance to meet her last conversation. And I
Yes,
mean, you would never know that you all had such a split in going
that's
on
right.
in your lives. So so much came out of one
One,
yes,
yes, ma'am.
one book.
Yes, ma'am.
I
Yes, ma'am.
mean, people have can say I'm an Amazon bestseller in how many categories, they can
Hmm.
say that I have confidence that I didn't always have. They can
Right.
team up and collaborate the way they would
That's
not
right.
have been able to in the past. You
That's right.
yourself are able to come and talk and speak and just exude so much passion for what you've enabled others to do. It's
Yes, ma'am.
contagious and it's
It is.
awesome.
Yes.
Man,
And I
wow.
thank you so much for inviting me to your platform and for being such a gracious host. Thank you so much.
Oh, you are so welcome. You have other irons in the fire. If you want to come back and talk about it, you always have an open door here at Business Card Radio with Marco Levette, because that's what we do here. So
I
I am going
appreciate
to,
it.
oh, I'm looking at where did the time go? We were going to go
I
15
know.
minutes in here. I love your story though. Anything that helps people, seriously, because we
Yes,
see how we are in bad shape as far as
we are.
humanity
As
goes.
that's right. That's right. This
People
is
need
needed
help.
on a broad spectrum. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I tell you what, happy birthday to your sister when you see her. And
Yes.
I'm just going to go ahead and let everybody know what's going on real quick with thank you for coming again. I appreciate it.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
I want
Thank you.
everybody to know that, hey, podcasters, it is a go. We are doing one-on-one conversations, and I'm getting people for the panel discussion. So everything is coming together so wonderfully. I thank God, really and truly. I only have a few slots left for the panel discussions. If you want to be a panelist, you're a podcaster, you want to be a part of the panel discussion, you have to message me or DM me. You have to do that this week because this thing came together and I thought it was too much for me. Can I just be transparent? I thought it
Yes,
was too
ma'am.
much for me. I thought it was too big, but I knew in my heart that I wanted to be able to position myself to celebrate podcasters. And when Womel said, Womel, it was an idea that really came from Womel. And I took it over when actually this was a collaborative work, you know?
Wow.
So this is a lesson for everybody. When
Mm-hmm.
someone comes to you and they say, let us do this, it's
Mm-hmm.
us, it's not you.
You.
So what we do as we brainstorm and bring the idea to fruition, it is a us concept. It is a
Mm.
us movement. And when you try to make something like that a me type of thing, it gets to be heavy and you don't think you can pull it off because original that was not the original that was not the original form that it was supposed to take. It is a joint venture. So that's my takeaway from all of this. Thank you, Nagalia. Thank you, Womel, for letting me get this stuff out of my head, for bringing the idea,
Mm.
for rolling with the sister, and we are rolling together. Womel is doing. They always do the awesome graphics, and I've been telling people about the media package, and it seems as though people don't want to understand why podcasters need a media, why we need to be out there in media. We are media. But do
Mm.
you know people listen to us on demand? Do you know how many people don't know you, boo? They don't know your show exists. So
Mm.
anytime you get a chance to catapult yourself, just like Keys, there are so many books out there, and they are triumphant and in the categories that they were able to pull off. But out of all of the authors and the anthologies, she's here today speaking
Right.
of Forged by Fire, Built God Tough, keeping it ahead of everybody else, keeping it above the fold, keeping this book that came out, what, Keys, a couple of months ago?
June 1st. Yes, ma'am.
June 1st.
Mhm.
So, and she's here, we are in August. She's
Mhm.
still talking about it. So, that's what we have to do as podcasters. We have to find somebody who is going to let us talk about our podcast, talk about ourselves, talk about our journeys with excellence. Now,
Mhm.
what we have planned, if anybody knows Wom Lead Magazine at all, if anybody knows the organization Womel, they protect that brand. That is not a shimmy sham brand at all. So if you have a chance to be featured, have an article, your picture, a link in that magazine while we are celebrating all of September, I don't know where the disconnect was at. I don't see
Mm.
it. Keys, it went over my head. It went
I
it
know,
went
right?
completely over my head, because
Yeah.
if somebody's giving me a chance to show
Mhm.
up in a big name magazine and
Magazine.
I'm being celebrated all month, and my name is showing up here and my name is showing up there,
Yes.
I'm running that vehicle till the wheels run off.
Fall off.
I ain't lying, because you never know, as Keys
Yes.
says, you never know who's watching, you
That's
never
right.
know who's listening. I'm just going to say this, and then I'm going to get off my soapbox. There is one person that is on my heart. I truly, truly, truly want him to be a part of this celebration. I want him to be one of the panelists, and I met him during a event a couple of years ago, and I thought I wrote his name down. My error was I didn't subscribe to his podcast. That was my error.
Mhm.
Now every avenue I go up, I try to find him. I can't find him. I see his face, and I remember the shirt that he had on in his picture. I can't find that man anywhere. So I'm telling you, you have to be
Mm.
associated with someone, so that somebody can track you down.
You
You
down.
have to show up in print. You have to show up digital, because you never know what opportunities are you are poo-pooing away because you
Right.
don't say yes. Keys
Mm.
really hit the nail on the head. When you say yes,
Yes, that's
things
right.
happen.
Happen.
And
Mhm.
Womel, Wom Lead, did not have to make this generous offer to us podcasters. To me, it's about celebrating yourself. Now,
Mhm.
I'm setting up the platform so podcasters can come on, and we're going to have the panel discussions. We're going to have the one-on-one conversations every day except for Saturday throughout the month of September. You're going to hear from a podcaster. Okay. We have podcasters from Africa, Canada,
Right.
from Australia. You're going to hear from a podcaster somewhere. So to me, the icing on this celebration
Wow.
cake was for you to be able to be seen and heard in this big time magazine. That's what I was offering to you, so that you could
Mhm.
celebrate yourself. And there's still time, but you have to decide. You have to go over to Hey Podcasters. Let me get that banner. You have to go over there, and let me get the banners up. You have to go over there and make sure that you sign up. Um, yeah, Hey Podcasters. Make sure that .com. Make sure you go over there and go. I think there's apply and there's a red button, and you have to let us know that I'm in. You're not just going to celebrate me in audio and video. You're going to celebrate me in print also.
Wow.
So I hope that made it clear. And some
Mm.
people, I had the info session, and some people were able to make it, some were not. I want people to know that this is a total celebration. And you should want to celebrate yourself
Yourself.
because it's
Hmm.
podcasters that we were frontline workers of some kind. We were
Hmm.
friends. We were confidants. We were up in the midnight hour. I know I listened to podcasts. I got COVID. I was listening to podcasts when I was up 1 and 2 in the morning,
Super.
walking, trying to outwalk that fever. So I
Hmm.
know what it's like trying to keep that stuff out of my lungs. So
Hmm.
I know what podcasts did for me during that time.
Wow.
Podcasts have been the instructors. They have been the information mecca of information during this pandemic. So you
Hmm.
need to be celebrated. And I'm doing the best I can, but the icing on the cake is to be featured. Get yourself so that you can be featured in this magazine. There are over 200,000 people that visit that magazine's website, just the website, every month.
Wow.
So that's a lot, isn't it, Keys?
That's a
So
lot. That's amazing. That's
that is
huge.
amazing. Oh,
Hmm.
yeah. And so they are generous enough because they believe in us enough to go ahead and feature us in print and feature us digitally. Do you know
Wow.
how many people you're going to get before? To
Wow.
me, it is a total no-brainer. Honey, you talking about a sister who's in the mix. You're not doing this without me. And I'm, wait a minute.
Come on now.
Shoot, she brought it to me, and I'm
Come
doing my
on.
part as a podcaster, but you're going to see me over there in Womb Lead magazine. I'm
Come
celebrating
on.
myself because
Right.
for one thing, the Lord spared me of COVID. It didn't take
Yes.
me out. It put me down for a
Yes.
couple months, but it did not take me out.
Amen.
And as soon as I
Glory.
could get back up on the horse and ride,
Come on.
baby, I was back getting those
Back on it.
podcasts out.
Yes.
So, we have stories and we have reasons, personal and public reasons why we should celebrate ourselves. So that's
Right.
all I'm going to say about that. I
That's
just,
amazing.
if we don't celebrate ourselves, who will? And if you
Who
don't
will?
go ahead, nobody owes us these big time
Anything.
opportunities that
No,
come,
ma'am.
and we
No, ma'am.
can't stumble over a few quarters because we don't understand, or we don't
Hmm.
see the relevancy of it. I don't get it. I don't get not
That's right.
seeing the relevancy. I'm media. I'm here because I'm offering Keys media.
That's
I'm
right.
media. And I'm gonna take it to the limit. I'm gonna stay above that fold.
Come
I'm
on.
gonna stay
Come
on
on.
people's mind. Because somebody want to find out about Margot Levette, to the best of my ability, they're gonna be able to find me.
Go.
Oh yeah, she was always talking about Womb Lead. Oh yeah, she was always
Yes.
talking about Womel.
Well,
Oh yeah,
Mel.
she was always in collaboration with them. Honey,
Hmm.
you're gonna be able to find me somewhere in the mix. So,
Come on now.
Keys, thank you for hanging on
Thank
there
you.
with me. We're
Yes,
gonna get
ma'am.
on out of here. Thank you. I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
go ahead and get this back up for Amazon. Forged by Fire, built God tough. Put that beautiful cover back up one more and again. Here we go. Now, it
It's
was put
beautiful.
out there, published so that oh my God, and look at the authors. It's out here, it's published, it's
Yes.
documented so that whatever you are going through, somebody has gone through it and you
Somebody has
don't
gone
have to
through it
be alone. So
alone.
I think it is wonderful. It's a gift. And I tell you what, we're going to get on up out of here. Let me see.
Yes.
It's always so hard for me to go ahead and end this thing, but we're going to end it. Thank you, Miss Keys. We'll talk
Thank
to you
you.
soon, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.